All right, we are here for the moment we've been waiting for here. Mega Draft for our Planechase League. Here with Mitch, Spaghetti Mitch, and we're going to be watching Tony draft this unique format here, where we're going to have a number of sets that were not used in our league here for the draft.
This is the Planechase League, right?
Yep.
Where you traveled to 6 different planes over 6 different weeks.
Yes.
And the starting pools are made up of the planes that you didn't travel to and that are not in this draft today.
Exactly. So we got a really stacked lineup here. I'm hearing my feedback on your mic.
A little lower. Or I'll put in headphones actually.
All right.
Yeah.
Should be good now. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about the players, the other players as we progress through this, but it is a stacked top 8 here. And Tony's doing what you frequently do in War of the Spark, which is our first set, which is, take the Planeswalker. This is frequently a thing that is that is popular in this set because the Planeswalkers were so good. Even the uncommon ones were better than a lot of the rares. So looking at this pack, the rare has been taken, and he's left with an uncommon Planeswalker here, Ashiok, which is not that reliable, a good card. Sometimes if you had 2 or you recurred it, you could mill the opponent, but not the best one. What else do you think he's considering here? Mitch? If you are speaking,
Sorry about that, Richard. I was just getting phones for the feedback situation.
Okay. Yeah, so he's looking at the second pack here. Nothing too exciting. D-Spark is a good removal. We got Gateway Plaza as fixing, and these commons are not really cards you want a second pick. A lot of them are unlikely to make any deck. There's a couple playables.
Well, we see Ashiok, which is fairly good in 40-card decks.
Yeah, he's just going to go for the best card here, most powerful card, D-Spark. I still hear a tiny bit of feedback, but I think we can work through it.
I'll be putting in the headphones, sorry.
Yeah, so here's another nice Planeswalker with Davriel. Usually a 2-for-1, sometimes even a 3-for-1. Really strong card. Looks like he's highlighted Feather, this rare. So it's a 3-mana 3/4 flying, hard to cast. And the ability comes up once in a while. Basically, if you have a pump spell or something like that, you can rebuy them.
I believe War of the Spark Boros had a bit of a heroic target your own things theme.
Yeah, there was a sort there was a lot of things. There was a lot of cards to make that work in the set, but it is a hard card to cast. Like taking a card like Feather early, it's not going to make your deck unless you are Boros. So he's going for the power here over maybe something like Davriel, which is still powerful. But we have 7 packs here, which is a lot. So he does have quite a bit of time to make his decision here. So, you see him highlighting Tyrant Scorn. So, these are all cards that he's taking that are, most of them are unlikely to be in a deck with each other, just because of all the different colors.
A lot of nice cards in the Boros colors in this pack in particular. It might be a signal. There's a couple at least.
Yeah, I mean, still early for signals, I would say. In the draft, you might get an indication that people don't want the gold cards just because he's seen, the Feather, now the Tyrant Scorn.
That's true. We're going 7 packs today.
Yeah,
signals. It's not a normal draft.
Yeah, so he took Callous Dismissal, which was a really good common. It didn't read that impressive, but if you think of it as a 2-mana 1/1 that bounces a creature, you start realizing the card's very good. So took that over the Tyrant Scorn. Looks like we're waiting on something here.
Guess we'll go through the order of what we're drafting today. You can find that. We have War of the Spark, M19, Kaladesh Remastered, Theros Beyond Death, Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, and Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So the three times we're going to be on Ravnica plane here.
Yeah, we're going to get some gold cards later on with the Ravnica set. So the draft is paused here for a moment. Not sure what the holdup is, but like I said, he's taking the most powerful card out of each pack. In these mega drafts, it's sort of for a long time it was very clear that the maybe best strategy was just, two colors, be focused, draft a good curve, good creatures. And the last couple mega drafts have, thrown that out a bit because we've had some 3 and 4 color even control decks in the last couple mega drafts that have won. So, this is our sort of our trademark event here, the mega draft, because no 2 mega drafts are the same. And we just got a bunch of, more or less random sets here. So, the people that are going to do well are the people that are going to find the micro synergies, the little cards that work well together. The
randomness is what this set's all about. What this Planechase League is all about. Just chaotic and never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, but also
so
making the most of whatever the stipulations were during the sealed portion. But here, there's no stipulations. We're just drafting. We're building 60 card decks with these 7 different sets, which is enough of the stipulation. So, do we know what the holdup is here on the draft?
It was a requested pause by one of the players. We won't say who. I don't know who.
Oh.
Remain a secret. Only they'll know.
Okay, well, not sure.
And Chris.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're resuming it here, and he's got a pack of not that interesting cards. So interesting. He's looking at the battlefield promotion here, which would indicate that he would prefer to try and draft a deck around Feather. Perhaps that would be the go-to card. Fixing is going to be available in almost all of these sets. There's some kind of fixing, so he's not taking the Gateway Plaza here. Gateway Plaza is actually a pretty poor fixing, like worse than most dual lands because it costs you a mana when it comes.
Somewhat interestingly, the 2 of the last 3 sets are Ravnica Allegiance and Guild of Ravnica, which have a common fixing gate in every pack.
Yeah,
so those will be later.
Neon Dynasty has dual lands as well, and I believe M19 had them. So we've seen different strategies from drafters in the Mega Draft before. It looks like here, I mean, it's still early, so still plenty of room to move around, but it looks like he's focusing in on a strategy here of perhaps white aggression. But he's taking a 5 mana 3/4 flyer, which is not the most aggressive card, but it'll make most 2-color decks that you play with white.
That's what your 5 mana flyer did back in the day, and that's only a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
it's fine.
I mean, we've seen a variety of strategies. We've seen some players come in heavily favoring a specific strategy or color combination in advance. We've seen players just draft the open deck for their seat, even if it was not in colors they were thrilled about. And we've seen players who go into one color, and then even by the end of the draft, sometimes there was one mega draft where it wasn't even clear what their second color was going to be at the end of the draft. And they actually built 2 different decks that they played throughout the top 8. So we've had a lot of different strategies here. It looks like he's going to try and get into this white aggressive deck here. Feather's a good pull into it. And Boros aggro is basically nominally supported in like every set, more or less. With a couple of exceptions of planes where maybe the red-white theme was a little different. This is something that you'll find cards to support this in every set.
Pouncing Lynx, it might be a cat, but if you compare it to the first striker on your turn and the most recent set, you can see where the power is gone. It's the older cards are a little bit of a level down.
White aggro was actually one of the decks I almost never drafted in War of the Spark, but I mean the cards are still there for it. It just wasn't exciting. Heartfire here, it's a good little removal. I mean, you do have to sacrifice something, but often that could be something that's being targeted for removal, something that's being basically chump attacked, and you just sack it.
Even a Planeswalker. I remember this working fairly well with Tybalt Imps.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because in War of the Spark, you often got your uncommon Planeswalkers to like 1 loyalty left when they had like a -2. So it was just sitting there with it was sometimes a relevant passive ability, but often you would just get rid of that and kill something. Yeah, so
it is removal.
So looking up and down the sets, the only set where really white-red aggressive is not like outrightly supported is Ravnica Allegiance, but that's just because Boros was not in that set. But you could still find white and red aggressive cards, just not the gold cards. Yeah, looking back on all the sets, like I mean, Ikoria, there was a cycling deck, and almost every other time, I guess in Strixhaven it was supposed to be more of a grindy deck, but those are not in our draft. So if he wants to do a white-red deck, he'll be able to find the cards.
You mentioned Ikoria, which we visited.
Yeah,
King Giant decks, I believe. 80 card decks.
yeah,
And
Ikoria.
then
Yeah,
you also mentioned what was the other one?
Strixhaven. Yeah,
Strixhaven,
or also it's not
where
really the aggro deck there or
yeah,
Revolt. Yeah, so he took an Ashiok Skulker out of a weak pack. Just kind of an okay finisher card in the decks that end up wanting it. It's kind of the finisher you play when you don't have other great stuff. But at the end of the pack here, like these cards are mostly unlikely to make any deck, really.
Aid the Fallen gets stuff back in the graveyard, but you're not going to find too many Planeswalkers in your deck, I don't imagine.
Yeah, you usually traditionally just get one creature back from your graveyard has not been a card we want. So get a creature plus a planeswalker back. Unlikely we're going to see too many more planeswalkers. He only has one here. He could have taken a. He had a couple opportunities to take other planeswalkers, but not spectacular planeswalkers. We saw Davriel. That's maybe
It,
the best one he saw aside from Tybalt. Yeah, so into the pack here. So I mean, if you're an aggro deck, that's a card you could play. The Goblin Assault team, but
leaves behind a 1/1 after hasting in 1/1
yeah,
counter.
I mean, despite War of the Spark being a strong set, these packs were not very strong for the most part. We did not see a lot of premium cards. So, taking that feather and then taking a couple of aggressive cards, not a bad plan here.
What cards left? We're about to head into M19.
Yeah, so
No
M19,
huge flavor
very,
on the
very,
core
it's
set.
a very core set type of, I mean, it's a core set, but it's, very core setty. So, the cards are pretty straightforward. They do what they say they do, but there are good cards there. There's just not going to be extraordinarily complicated or really powerful cards at common and uncommon usually. You're going to find generically good cards, and wow, that's a rare cleansing Nova. Yeah, that's a real good one. I think
5 mana, destroy all creatures or destroy all artifacts and
yeah,
enchantments.
I think that no matter what you did in pack one, you're just taking this as the best card in the pack on a runaway. So even if he had blue and black cards, it just slammed this and
So
figure out from there.
this card in the pack, Lich's Crest, is what reminds me of Magic from that time, only
Yeah,
4 years ago, 5 years ago.
that's
5 mana,
our
sorcery speed,
that's our
gain
common.
life, and kill a creature.
Yeah, that's our common removal. But there's a couple of really good white cards here. Shieldmare and Starcrown Stag were really, really good. A couple of other okay commons here. But yeah, the white cards are really stand out from this pack. Like the first thing I saw in this pack, aside from the Cleansing Nova, was those two white cards as like two of the next best
The
few
Stag and the
cards in the
Mayor,
pack.
yeah. I'm sure Doom Descender could find a home in someone's deck also. It's a pretty useful card if you're trying to stave off some aggression.
Yeah, that Starcrown Stag, that ability has just always been good. These creatures that they tap something when they attack, especially on a on
I
a
believe,
on a nice bulky body there. 4 mana 3/3,
yeah,
very good.
yeah.
I imagine he will not be taking a white card from this pack, as the options are not too great. A 3 mana
Rusty.
3/2 with no text and a 1 mana 1/2 flying.
It's rusty.
So if he's looking to stay red, there's a shock, which is pretty good. Um, Probably the best or close to the best common in this pack. Even Windmage was a good card. That's broadly these this blue red is another color combination that's broadly supported across all sets. Like blue and red are often focused on instants and sorceries or non creatures in almost every set. So that's another color combo where you find cards that say, well, we need you to cast instants and sorceries, and you can find that in every set. Every set has instants and sorceries. So
Happy to take the shock here.
yeah, absolutely. Take some removal. All right.
Well, white
So
also not looking amazing here. There's an Angel of Dawn.
the Angel of the Dawn was a very good card, and I mean still is. This 5-drop, it gives everything +1/+1 vigilance when it comes in. So just if you're attacking, especially like with a Starcrown Stag, imagine Starcrown Stag into that. It's like you tap down their guy, your team is bigger. It's just the game's going to snowball out of control. But this
Yeah.
Goblin Motivator, these little creatures with this effect are often better than they look. Um, I think
It
when I
itself
first
does not
saw,
have haste.
I think when I first saw that type of card, I think there was one in Amon Ket. I just looked at it and I thought to myself that can't really be worth a card. A little 1 mana 1/1, not good. Tap, give something haste. Like you have to be really aggressive, but you know it has
You
proven
have to want
that
to care about it.
in the right deck, that card can be real good.
Yeah, surprise damage, but not so surprised since they know
Right,
you
so
can
we got a planeswalker
use it.
here, pick 4, but I don't think it's a planeswalker we're looking for. It's I don't remember all the abilities, but I remember it's basically every ability cares about you having zombies. And if you don't have
Well, look
zombies, the
it up.
card just doesn't do anything. Liliana
The
untouched by
fact that
death.
it's the fact that it's still here makes me think it's not incredibly useful. But I see it right now. It's the top one mills three
Yeah,
cards. If one of them is a zombie, there's a drain that happens, and one of them gives removal equal to how many
yeah,
zombies you control,
yeah. So I
and
think
the other
pick
one is also
2.
zombie related.
I think pack 2, pick 4. It's usually a little early to say there's a signal here, but there are 4 red cards, all of which are playable. 3 of which are like quite good. The Sparkturn Dragon being okay. And the Lightning Mare, Shock, and Bugart Brute all being pretty good. So that might be a good side. It might just be a pack where there was a lot of red cards. But he took the Lightning Mare there, 2 mana, 3/1 with some extra abilities.
Yeah, over a second shock, and that's the second mirror we've seen. We're both in red and white, so maybe the
Yeah,
other one wheels. Probably not. I would say
yeah,
though.
unlikely, but it's possible. These players are all really good. We're going to get to it throughout the day, but this is a very stacked top 8. There's, I think, 40 combined top 8 appearances. 6 of these players have won a league, including Tony. A lot of these players are they're just playing on a different level, honestly.
Only I made
With
it,
the
it would
amount
be
of
41.
top 8s that they have made. Like we have players who we have a couple of players who are in their third top 8 in their fourth league. Or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sawyer, who's made 7 top 8s
Incredible.
in the last 9. Jordan, who's made 5 out of 6 top 8s since he's been with us since last year. Just these players are, like I said, they're operating on the next level. Caleb has tied the record now for the most top 8s with 9, which is just astounding. Like these players are very consistent. They're really strong. We're going to see hopefully some really good gameplay today, and these drafts are going to be tough because all these players are good at evaluating cards. All these players are probably cognizant of other players' approaches, and there's no easy seat today at this at this table.
Yeah, very consistent players all
Oh,
across
yeah.
the board.
So crash through
So
usually a card that ends up being cut, except for maybe in some of the red blue spell decks, but you know could could take a could take a flyer on maybe a card that could be slightly more impactful, but looks like he's settling in here. Hopefully the cards flow his way, and as far as red and white goes,
the,
because
the cool thing, yeah,
he's not left himself too many other options here so far. He's found a lane and he's in it, and hopefully that lane's going to work out because he doesn't have too many off ramps into other things right now. But Goblin Instigator was a good card. So 2 bodies, 2 mana,
yeah.
very good.
Clearly wanting to be in the aggro lane here. The cool thing about a 7-pack draft is it's over 100 picks total.
Yeah.
Meaning you can change what you're doing fairly late. Imagine there's a huge bomb that's opened up in the next pack. You got tons of picks left to make your deck,
Okay, so he took.
so you can stay open for a
Okay,
while.
so he's actually going to stay a little bit more open than maybe we were giving him credit for here. He took the Anticipate. He
Hmm.
saw the crash through the Anticipate. Maybe he's thinking there's a blue red spells deck here, not seeing too much good white at all. So maybe he's thinking to himself,
Yeah,
let's give myself at least some options. I'm not gonna miss a Goblin Instigator too much. But if I have a
yeah, that's
blue
what I
red
was saying.
spells deck, I will want all these cheap little 1 and 2 mana, what they call cantrip cards like Anticipate, just replace
Yeah,
themselves and keep the velocity going and trigger all your cards that care about it, which he doesn't have
yeah,
any yet,
that's what I
but
was saying.
there's time.
You can you can afford to stay open quite late with how many packs are being open. Although since GRN and RNA are in here, I'm not sure how much you're gonna get the same thing, same type of strategy, same type of color pairs going on with those back to back at the end of the
Yes,
draft.
so,
But
so we got a Bogart Brute coming back here on the wheel, which is a pretty good sign. Like that card's like just a very reasonable, aggressive creature. Um, Sort of showing that aggressive strategy is not being perhaps valued by other players. I think he was pointing at the Inferno Hellion there as a combo with the Goblin Motivator, giving that thing haste. Yeah, so
fantastic.
This Aven Windmage came back, which could be another sign that he could be wanting to be red-blue here. That is a payoff for instants and sorceries.
Pretty good upside on a 3-mana 2/2 flyer.
So if I'm him, I'm thinking if I'm red-blue, I'm gonna miss an Aven Windmage more than I'm gonna miss a 1-mana 1/2 if I do end up white-red. But he went for the white card here just to keep himself in what looks to be his primary choice for a color combo. I think he's been speculating on blue cards as a backup more than as a really desired option.
Going for Lava Axe, 5 mana, 5 damage to face. So
yeah, so this is another spot where you could take Dwindle. Like Dwindle's not a super impressive card, but it's playable. Lava Axe is almost never going to be played. You have to be.
You need face damage.
Really
it's a finisher
aggressive.
for yeah.
Like it's
in the sideboard it goes.
Yeah, like at most game states, Lava Axe is going to be horrible in the majority of different board states that you find yourself in. All right, Trumpet Blast could be good if he's looking at going wide here. He doesn't have too much. He didn't take the Goblin Instigator, which makes 2 bodies, but there's a lot of these cards that make 2 creatures. Tibalt makes 2 creatures over the course of the game. Well, 4 mana 3/3 haste. Nowadays we get a 1/1 along with that. In Phyrexia, we have that same card, except comes a little 1/1 body.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
times have changed.
Significantly better.
Off to Kaladesh, hoping to see lots and lots of Cloud Blazers, but this is probably the best uncommon in the set in Untethered Express. Just a ridiculous rate on a card. Just completely
it should be illegal.
The game. Like goes in any deck, 4 mana 4/4. It's going to attack as a 5/5 trample, and it just and it goes up from there. It actually gets better.
Slide in that artifact removal if you see that in your opponent's deck.
Yeah, and it only gets hit by instant speed removals, and it's out of range of a lot of damage based removals, like even like by the first attack. It was pretty much agreed upon best uncommon of the set. Ridiculous card. Goes in every deck, and he's more than happy to pick that up here. If that wasn't here, not too many great options. There's the other vehicle, which is an okay card, but not spectacular.
Daring Demolitions, that slow removal card that kills creatures or vehicles for 4 mana. The Seed Sculptor's been a useful card, I think, in this set.
Seed Sculptor is just a pretty above rate 2-drop. Usually it's a 2 mana 1/1 that puts a counter, and this was just a touch better. It looks like he's got another premium card here, Thopter Arrest. It's what we call an Oblivion Ring effect. Comes in, gets an artifact or creature off the battlefield until that leaves. So sometimes they blow up your Thopter Arrest later in the game, but it hits anything at any time. So obviously he's just gonna be very happy with that.
Looks like the rare was taken from this pack by Tony's neighbor.
Yes.
He scrolls up, we can see who that is. He's getting passed up from Johnny.
Johnny is passing him this pack, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, pack 3 out of 7, it's early enough where if you see a rare that even doesn't touch any of your colors, you could still take it. Just on the off chance that it ends up making your deck at some point. So it looks like he's ruling, maybe not officially, but unofficially ruling out blue as an option here. He's got another really good removal here, Chandra's Revolution. That card is very strong.
It's just that deals 4 damage at sorcery speed to a creature, I see.
Yeah, and then it actually taps down a land for until their next turn. Like
strange.
So it actually can take people off curve. Like sometimes they were planning to play their 4-drop on turn 4, and they actually don't have a 3 to play in their hand, and they actually just sometimes end up doing nothing that turn or casting, being really inefficient with their mana. So aside from being a decent rate, I mean, nowadays we're getting 4 damage maybe sometimes for 3 mana. But really that upside is not nothing. It's it does actually impact the game in a lot of states. I think the other card he was looking at is the Hawk that can give flying.
There's his land.
He's got a land,
See what
but
else is in the pack.
yeah, I think upon inspecting the pack, he might favor the Ether Chaser, which is just a very, very premium 2-drop. But I mean, fixing is important. I say it all the time. Limited mana bases are bad, just period. In 40 card decks, they're bad. In 60 card decks, they're even worse. 12/12 is bad. It's not good mana base. So anything you can get to improve that is really, really, really helpful.
Ether Chaser should help in this aggro deck, although there's no way you're not going to get energy synergies very much.
Well, I mean, just a 2-mana 2/1 first strike that, let's say if it said when it enters the battlefield, make a 1/1. That's
Yeah,
pretty strong.
it goes with the point of the deck too, which is aggression. But he goes for the land here
Yeah, he's
for a
going to take
little
the land.
utility.
He's going to, I don't think he wants to put like mana fixing spells in his deck. So the only way that a Boros deck is usually going to mana fix is by just having a Boros dual land, which he's probably not going to see that much of. Like a lot of other decks that are maybe slower, they could play ramp spells, they could play these mana rocks, like we call them manalith variants, 3 mana, tap for any color. I don't think he's going to be interested in any of that. So the only thing he's going to have for fixing are his land slots. So might as well pick that up. 2-drops, you can get 2-drops in every set. You can't get a red-white dual land in every set.
That is true. Looking at a Fragmentize here.
Yeah, so Fragmentize is a sideboard card. His other choice was a very replaceable 2-drop, Countless Gears Renegade.
Chase Dragster is a 6/1 trample.
It has it's a haste and his crew one. So looks like he's gonna take a 2-mana 3/1 here, with some trinket text if it can't be blocked by artifacts. In that set there was cards that made servos, so that came up.
And vehicles, I suppose.
Yeah, but if if you were blocking with your vehicles, you were pretty unhappy. Usually, you wanted your vehicles to be attacking.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's filling up his curve here with some creatures. Interesting land there, but I don't think he can make use of that. Sweatworks Brawler was a nice card. You usually got to play that on turn 3 most of the time in Kaladesh, but in this format, it's mostly just going to be a 4-drop.
Yeah, the synergies aren't going to be quite there for something like Sweatworks Brawler, but I remember that being a bit of a thing to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, if you can reliably play that on turn 3, it's like, quite above rate. Here he took the Quicksmith Genius, which I don't know if that's going to make his deck. It's not going to trigger too often. It's a 3-mana 3/2, and every time an artifact comes under the battlefield, you can, what they call rummage, discard a card, draw a card. Just not a very interesting body, and the effect is pretty small.
Tony's deliberating between 2 white 2-drops.
Yeah.
Couple different abilities on them, but
the Aviary mechanic, you have the option of bouncing any permanent other than itself when it enters. And the Restoration Specialist, you can sack it to get an artifact and or an enchantment back from your graveyard to your hand. So
it's probably a good sign. There's a couple 2-drops in your color still late in the pack.
Yeah. Impeccable timing. Again, it's like, this is like a bygone era. This is a relic of a bygone era. Nowadays we get 2 mana, destroy a tapped creature. And this says just deal 3 damage to an attacker or blocker. So sometimes you do have to play those, but you just look at them sadly and longingly.
If you're light on removal, you gotta do what you gotta do, but
yeah, and these cards are traditionally been worse in something like a Boros deck that wants to attack. You want to get your opponent's creatures out of the way before they block, rather than after they block, because you just want to deal damage to them. All right, here's a Sweatworks Brawler.
Yeah.
Definitely better than his other 4-drops that he has now, but it's a bit of a low bar to clear. Though Untethered Express hanging out there in the non-creature slot is a creature for all intents and purposes.
We'll say Sweatworks Brawler might work with some Neo cards. They're very cheap artifacts that are playable in that set, so maybe we'll see that open. We'll see.
Yeah. The key is to find these little links between the sets that sort of make cards a little better. Right, so nothing too much of interest here. A couple of okay green cards, but I mean, he's pretty settled in on his colors here. I don't know if there's a card he could see at any point in the next few packs that would take him off his current plan. Well, that's a 5 mana 5/4.
Or a pendulum or a mind drop.
Pendulum of Patterns makes me a little bit sad. I don't know why they felt the need to tack on 5 mana to a Revitalize, but here we are.
Almost had 3 packs in a row there.
Yeah, so a couple of cards. I mean, Reckless Fireweaver, it deals damage to the opponent when an artifact comes in. Like, these are cards that aren't likely to do much for him, but now that's a rare. So I was about to say Theros Beyond Death was really, really bomb heavy. It had a lot of really, really strong rares. Since Archons of Sungrace, you do need to get some other enchantments to make it work, but it stands on its own. Like, 4 mana, 3/4 flying lifelink, like, that's incredible. And whenever you have an enchantment come in, you get a 2/2 Pegasus. And as long as this Archon's still in play, that Pegasus has lifelink on top of it. So, very snowbally card.
We were just on a plane focused around artifacts. Now we're in one focused on enchantments, and we are going to end the drafted Neo, which has a Orzhov archetype that cares about both those things. Interesting to see if there's going to be synergies going on.
Yeah, the thing is that in every white set, pretty much, there is a like a common enchantment in white that is a removal. So when you pair that with removal, you just win the game really fast. Like when you play Archons of Sungrace, and then you play a pacifism effect, and you make a 2/2, like the game is going to end really quickly if they don't kill that thing. So I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be looking out for enchantments. He has a Thopter Arrest already, I think, is his only other enchantment. But this set has tons of enchantments. Here's another great rare for him. Goes good in any white deck, but is like just a premium attacker.
Yeah, non-enchantment themed, but still very nice.
Yeah, just make something else a 4/4 when it attacks, and it's already a 3/3 vigilance. Like I think he's sad about passing the Banishing Light here, since it just lines up well with his Archon. But this Taranika was just such a good card for an aggressive deck. Good in any deck, but really good in an attacking deck. Yeah.
Yeah, so that Banishing Light is not going to wheel, almost certainly. But,
yes. So
it'll make someone happy.
Yeah. So as I suspected, Thopter Arrest is his only enchantment so far, but he does have chances to pick it up, pick up other enchantments. Like I said, in almost every set, white has a common enchantment that acts as a removal.
Got a lot of creatures here.
Yeah.
Deciding.
And in Theros and Neo, we had creatures that were just randomly enchantment creatures all the time. So here's an Iroas' Blessing. I think that is exactly what he's looking for here.
He's hovering over Karametra's Blessing right now. Both of them were definitely playable, but Iroas was a quite premium.
Yeah, Iroas' Blessing was...
That's your creature.
Iroas' Blessing was an absolute beating. And, when you already have Archons of Sungrace, I mean, you already want Iroas' Blessing in your deck, and now it's just actually going to be even better, because if he has an Archon in play. So a card he might be able to wheel here is the Karametra's Blessing, or even the Indomitable Will. Indomitable Will was a really strong trick because it sticks around. So I think he's hoping to get one of those cards coming back to him here.
He's getting good red and white cards past, that's for sure. Looks like black is being taken from
and another Iroas' Blessing. He must be getting really pumped here. All right, or he might just take the Sentinel's Eyes just as a cheap spell. But Iroas'
Sentinel's Eyes being played in
so strong
in Pioneer.
Yeah, that in the Aura's deck, Sentinel's Eyes gives vigilance and +1/+1 and comes back from the graveyard. So your first escape card is worth a lot, especially because there's only one pack of Theros, and the graveyard, especially in red white, the graveyard is like often unutilized. Like you're not really playing around with it too much. So having a card with escape is just really valuable here.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Getting a new resource in your graveyard, which you're not really used to, and with certain color types, color pairs.
Yeah, really.
So over Iroas' Blessing. What's in this pack here? We got a giant 7/3 vanilla. Daybreak Chimera, which makes you want to be devoted to white.
Yeah, Daybreak Chimera was a hard card to really make great use of. I mean, still on its base. If you can cast it for 4, it's like, at rate. If you can cast it for 5, it's below rate. Glory Bearers, again, not an extremely impactful card. It makes your attackers... it is an annoying card, but more annoying than great.
Because of how many triggers it gives?
Well, just the +0/+1 can come up, and when it comes up, it's very frustrating for the opponent because it looks like it's not
It is better
relevant.
than it looks. It is better than it looks. I just remember a million triggers coming up with that card.
Yeah,
Chimera is
so
the
he
pick
did
here.
take a Chimera, the flyer.
Another 2-drop first
So
striker in
he's
this
got a
pack. It's a
2-drop
rare.
first striker here. I think it makes Planeswalkers cost mana to activate.
Loyal, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it.
I mean, it's an
I mean,
enchantment.
2-drop first strikers if you're trying to go aggro.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
Yeah, Infuriate, I mean, it's an okay trick, but he can do better, I think.
Is this a impersonating Talia? Is it Talia?
Well, not quite. But loyalty to the bit of Planeswalkers your opponent's control costs 1 more to activate, yeah.
Looks like he's highlighting it.
Yeah, I imagine this is a card he's interested in. Also, it has the upside of being an enchantment for his Archon, but you just want that card anyway. Not an inspiring pack here. You've got the fish,
I like this card.
The fish aura, which I will not attempt to speak its name at this time.
I like this card's name. Not gonna say why. So we're pick 7 or 8 now.
Yeah, so these
We've
cards
picked up a rare white card.
2.
Sony's got a rare white card, pick 7.
He's got 3 white rares from just from this pack. So pretty
Good
happy.
sign, I'd say.
I think he's pretty happy about this pack. I think coming into this pack, I was looking at what he had taken, and it was he had gone into Boros, but it wasn't his card quality was not extraordinarily high, but he really got a nice boost in power level here from this set.
They're also 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drops, so all from the same set, all in the same
Here's
color.
another rare. I don't know if he's interested in this. I believe it brings back all your auras into play for a turn.
Otherwise, just a hasty creature that's good for an aggro plan.
3/2 haste. Irreverent Revelers could be a reasonable sideboard card, right? Like when that card comes and actually kills an artifact, it's pretty upsetting.
We're bound to see a few artifacts that are worth it.
I think in Theros we used to call it irrelevant Revelers, just because it was an enchantment set. You have a card that kills an artifact, like it just didn't really have a place. So like I suspect that we're seeing Indomitable Will wheeling, and this is a card that goes right into his deck, I believe.
Yeah, flash enchantment that sticks around, gives +1/+2. It's going to get its value a lot of the time.
Yeah, so late in the game, +1/+2, you're not really making waves, but in the early, this is going to win basically any early creature combat. Like in the first 4 or 5 turns, it's going to win any of that. All right, so here's a hero of the games with this, Theros Beyond Death updated version of the heroic mechanic.
Heather likes that deck.
See if he's interested in that. I think he is. It does go well with the feather. It does make him want to get some pump spells. So he hasn't picked up too many pump spells, but there's just been better cards when he's had the opportunity to. And you can get them late.
So Feather doesn't care about auras. It's only instants and sorceries.
Yeah, so the hero, you could target it with an aura and it'll trigger. Feather, you need to specifically cast instants or sorceries. Rapid Flames is a cool card. It didn't really get its chance to shine in Theros Beyond Death, but I think the goal of it was, like, you could knock out 2 blockers and then trigger your heroic guy, because it can target 3 creatures. Like, it pings 3 creatures for 1 damage, and then none of them can block, so you could target 2 of your opponent's things to not block, and then you can target your own hero and pump everything +1/+0. The Allure of the Unknown has not drawn in anybody. Nobody was allured by it.
Last 2 cards on the back there, red and white.
Yeah, not premium cards, but so this is our Guilds of Ravnica, so it does have Boros as one of the sets. So he's looking for some premium gold cards here, but looks like the Sultai colors are dominating this pack. However, there is a Luminous Bonds, which I think is going to be right up his alley here.
2 Dimir lands. Yeah, and Izoni's a very good card. Obviously not going to be played by Tony here, but Luminous Bonds, as you said, that was premium removal. We see better these days, but it's premium removal in that set.
Yeah, Luminous Bonds, it goes right into his it goes right into what he wants to do with his deck.
It's even uncommon dual two-sided card, a Deadly Visit, and an Ocean Rain. So very demure
Yeah.
in this pack.
Yeah, so there's also Cosmotronic Wave, which if you're playing Phyrexia All Will Be One, you'll notice there's a card that has the exact same text in All Will Be One, Hazardous Blast, which has a pretty swingy effect on games for a common. It might be something he's interested in. A Wrap in Flames is doing sort of an impersonation, which he already picked up. This is not an again. These are Sultai packs so far. We see all the
Even
black,
more
blue,
than
and green cards.
yes.
Vernaldi Shieldmate is a card he could run as a 2-drop, totally reasonable. Torch Courier was pretty bad. He has the Goblin Motivator, which taps to give something haste, and this you have to sacrifice, so
Yeah, it's
not
a little
quite.
sad for
Yeah.
Demir. A Boros player so far in this pack.
Yeah,
It's all
I
Demir.
think
All
as
of his
good as
cards
the
are Demir.
Theros pack started, this is starting equally poorly. So it looks like he's going to take this Collar the Culprit. You sometimes main deck this. You were usually pretty unhappy to. Maybe in this format with the games are a little longer, the decks are a little more clunky. You have a bunch more targets of Toughness 4 greater. So it's between that or the 2-drop. He's highlighting this Midnight Reaper,
Well, he's passing Caleb. If Caleb's in black, Midnight Reaper's a great pick. Even Chemister's Insight for someone later is a
yeah,
great pick too.
you're not supposed to hate drafts really, but that might be a card that he could have thought about taking out of the draft.
More
So
nice Demir cards. Look at that.
so he's got some Boros cards here. The Legion Guildmage, pretty inefficient for both of the abilities. Like a good creature, but the abilities are quite inefficient. Bounty Agent, the ability doesn't come up too much in limited of killing a legend, but when it does, I suppose you're pretty happy.
Gonna keep people from playing Legends, perhaps, if it's on the field early.
I guess so. Yeah, they have to just trade off with it before they can play their legend.
It's also 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance. Could be worse. We'll see what he goes for here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those 2-drops, either that or the Guild Mage. They made a design change for the Guild Mages in this version of Ravnica. Previously, the Guild Mages they each had 2 abilities, but they were not tap abilities, so you could do them repeatedly, and
the power's a bit down from what I understand.
Yeah,
The
Guild Mage stands on its own as a good card, but compared to what we used to get, it's they powered it down quite a bit. Like 3 mana tap to tap a creature is a lot. 6 mana to deal damage to the opponent is a lot. This pack is pretty poor as well for him. Torch Courier, again, just a hard card to really have it be worth a card.
Boros' main thing was something called Mentor, which buffs on it, which is an attack trigger buff on a smaller creature if it's also attacking with a bigger creature. And we haven't seen any real Mentor cards.
There was a Hammer Dropper in the last pack, which was a 4 mana 5/2 with Mentor, but that was like one of the worst of the Mentor cards. Yeah, Mentor was a really strong mechanic. It played around with caring about power. You could attack, and your Mentor creature would give a counter to another attacking creature that had less power. So,
Punch.
Whoever the Golgari drafter is going to be pretty pleased with the goings on of this pack. An Izoni and now the Golgari Findbroker, just such a premium card. I mean, obviously you have to be very much into Golgari, can't really be splashing realistically, but someone's going to be happy about this pack because I don't think Tony is.
Yeah. So Gravitic Punch is Jumpstart, which is the Is It mechanic. You can replay a card from the graveyard if you discard a card.
Yeah. It also combos with Feather. You could just dome your opponent every turn. But okay, here's a nice card for him with a Sky Knight Legionnaire. The thing about the Gravitic Punch is it only deals damage to players, so it does not deal damage to creatures.
I could tell this is not a Guilds of Ravnica draft because Disinformation campaign is still in the pack.
Yeah, Disinformation campaign was a big groaner for those who played Guilds of Ravnica. It was such a backbreaking card. Really pushed design for a card with this.
You can replay it over and over.
Yeah, they put Surveil on almost more cards than I've seen like any guild mechanic ever be on. Like there was like 20 plus cards with Surveil in the set. But back to what's going on Tony's side here. So Maximize Velocity, another little jumpstart card, which didn't really have an impact in its format, but maybe you can make use of it here.
And very cheaply give 2 creatures haste. It's a very specific board state that that card is going to shine best in.
Another card that works with Feather, right? It's just basically it comes back to your hand, and then you can give another creature haste the next turn, and so on. Yeah, so I think this Demotion is kind of up his alley. It's a really, really aggressive version of pacifism because it doesn't stop the creature from attacking, but it basically initiates a race, which usually the Boros deck is in the position to win. And,
Green is looking great in this pack, actually. Even a Golgari player, maybe if Caleb or Dan are in those colors, they'll still be very happy to see this pack with a pair of mana.
There's a Swarm Guildmage, which is a really excellent guild card there. So Golgari player is rejoicing. Whoever's getting all these cards, I figure it's the same player. Whoever's getting them is getting all of them. Yeah, so here's this opening pack that was pretty miserable for him. None of these cards, he can't play any of them. The Piston Fist Cyclops, not a card he's interested in. That's
simply castable.
It's more of a tempo or a control win con.
Yeah, still the Saltite colors showing up here.
Yeah, this pack was really, really poor for him to start with. He did get the Luminous Bonds, but Piston Fist Cyclops not where it's at. Neither are these cards, I don't think.
So Theros is great for Tony, and Guilds of Ravnica not so much, but we're passing the other direction for RNA coming up.
Yeah, the thing is in RNA, he's not going to get to really take advantage of the gold cards here. So he's going to have to stick to the monocolor cards, which are not the focus of the set. But, white and red will still have some aggressive cards here. So here's his Mentor creature come back around. We'll see if he thinks about picking that up. Card was just not very good. The 2 toughness for 4 mana on your attacker is just like kind of not acceptable in an aggressive deck.
Kind of demanding to be paired with a trick if you're going to attack with it.
Yeah, I guess it works with the Gravitic Punch, but here we are. Yeah, so it looks like he's looking at this Righteous Blow. Really, really, really cheap card, but again, has the problem of it doesn't get a creature out of the way in order to attack. But, if you're low on removal and interaction, that is a card you will put in your deck some portion of the time. Candlelight Vigil. I think in the set, people used to pair it with the Healer's Hawk, but did not see it cast very much.
Yeah, you just don't want to get 2 for 1, which happened a lot when you play Auras.
Yeah, speaking of Healer's Hawk, I think that's a card he would have just jumped at. That card was really, really strong. But we did not see
a Wrestling Falcon.
Yeah, he got a Maniacal Rage, which, depending on how aggressive he is, it might just end up in his deck. 2 mana, +2/+2, when the creature can't block. He put it in his sideboard. But that card also has the added ability is if you are needing to swing for lethal, you can put it on your opponent's creature.
He's got a good number of creatures and non-creatures picked up here.
And a couple of his non-creatures do make creatures or are creatures. So like the Untethered Express, the T-Bolt. I used to put T-Bolt like in the creature slot because it makes usually two creatures. So the creature non-creature divide is it's good to sort of see his creature count, but this is about as good of a card as you could hope to get in a set that's not your guild, that your guild's not in.
Electro Dominance. A lot of possibilities of what you can do with your mana when you have that card in your hand.
Yeah, it's just basically it hits all the right notes. It's instant. It deals to players or creatures, and I mean just the added bonus of being able to put something else on the stack for absolutely no cost. That's just a bomb.
Cards that shouldn't be played at flash or instant speed get to be played at flash or instant speed with this card.
Yep. Yeah, so if you know your opponent has it, you could you get to maybe possibly play around it, but in most cases, that card can just swing a game completely around. Like that's a card, there's not that many cards that can take you from a losing spot to a better or winning spot. That's a card that just your opponent could look like they're about to win and.
He's hovering Scorch Mark. Oh, he took the Scorch Mark.
Took the Scorch Mark just as maybe some early cheap interaction. We were sitting here talking about Electro Dominance, fawning over it, and he says, "No, I want the cheap burn. I want the 2 mana interaction. It hits a small creature. It exiles it, which comes up. So here we are talking about the rare, and he wants the Scorch Mark.
Mm-hmm.
He says,
There's a Footlight Fiend.
I don't want to tap 6 mana to kill something. I want to tap 2 mana.
I don't want. I don't want to attach Irosa's Blessing at instant speed. Shoot something else down.
Well,
There's
Electro
a
Dominance, I mean, it doesn't ask tons of you, but it does ask for you to have at least, some amount of mana and still have cards you want to cast in hand. And Scorch Mark asks a little bit less, I would say. I mean, it gives you less, but it requires
it
less.
might very well.
So
it's just fine.
He's just saying, I want to get things out of the way. I want to spend 2 mana. I want to, untap on turn 4, kill their thing, play a 2-drop. Like the one thing that we didn't say about Electro Dominance is it is mana inefficient as a burn spell. You get the mana back by getting to cast a free spell, but if you're late in the game and you're just trying to get your opponent dead, you might want something a little more efficient.
It is more flashy, no pun intended, but a Scorch Mark does just fine. We saw Footlight Fiend being picked up, the spectacle mechanic that Rakdos had in this set.
I mean, I guess Electro Dominance was not the 2-for-1 he was looking for, but I think Light Up the Stage is because, he cast it for 1 mana. And it's, basically a divination. Yeah. And
so Spectacle,
I think he's expecting
to wheel, you for doing?
I think he's expecting to wheel a playable here.
Spectacle rewarded players for doing face damage on a turn, so in case of Light Up the Stage, you can cast cheaper. It's kind of a way to pseudo-draw cards with a red aggro deck.
Yeah, this card's just good in any red deck, and one that's damaging your opponent consistently, it's obviously going to be that much better. It is part of this, I think it was one of the cards it was one of the first cards with this new design of red, which is you don't have to play it this turn. You could wait until the next turn to play it.
Yeah,
here's a gold card. You would say, well, he doesn't want a Gruul card, but if you read the first half of it, Thrash, it's like a rabbit bite, basically.
Yeah, it's a bite.
Yeah.
And it costs red.
You cast it for red, and it's an instant. So it's target creature deals damage equal to its power to a creature or a planeswalker. So it looks like a Gruul card, but really it is a red or green card, not just a Gruul card. So
nice we see Ill-Gotten Inheritance here going to Johnny, one of my favorite cards of the set. I think Johnny was passing black in the last, so it's possible Johnny was.
We know Johnny likes his black card, so. He's not going to force something that's not open, but I think that's sort of his happy place as far as Magic the Gathering decks go.
True.
All right, so looking
at
Orzhov Guildgate, does he have something black here? I don't think so.
Footlight Fiend could technically be cast with your off color.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to play a tap land in order to make your Footlight Fiend slightly more castable. He does have a technically on color rare, but that's if you play Commander, that Smothering Tithe is a card you've probably suffered at the hands
money
of.
draft.
But for limited, that card does not have really very much relevant text.
The Orzhov Guildgate potentially, if there's some bomb in black opened up next pack.
Yeah, not too much time to get to that, but looking at.
Blade Brand?
Too much here. Well, the Blade Brand, I mean, it doesn't. It was a combo with the Footlight Fiend back in that set because you gave it Death Touch when it died. It could take anything down with it.
Yeah.
So you block something, you give it Death Touch, it kills that creature. It could kill like 2 5/5s possibly. But
not so bad.
Yeah, there was also a red creature in that set that when it entered the battlefield dealt 1 damage to each of your opponent's creature. So if you got to the 6 mana, you could do a 1-sided.
Well, it works with the Tibalt Imps. Works with the Tibalt Imps pretty well too.
Yeah, so we'll see if he wants this aggressive, this Gore Clan Wrecker. Just sort of all the numbers are just a little below where you would want them to be at like both ends of the spectrum of like whether you give it haste or not. Just neither side is really great. But like Menace, when you could pile up a bunch of Menace creatures, it makes it really difficult for your opponent. So even if they're not the best rate, the Menace is relevant.
Interesting how this pack's going to make the Gruul, Azorius, Rakdos, etc. players more happy than the others. Obviously, Tony was in the is in Boros, which we saw in the last pack.
Yeah, well, I think the key is that these sets, this little section here of Guilds of Ravnica, RNA, and even Neo in a little bit are going to benefit the 3-color players because they're going to be able to get gold cards in both of the sets. And then in Neo, there's lots of
Well,
fixing. So I think the 3-color, whoever's 3-color here, which is probably going to be at least a couple people, are going to be really happy with these sets because you can pick and choose gold cards from either set.
Rebel Slinger's from the same cycle as Footlight Fiend here, where it's a hybrid card, so you can cast it fairly easily, even if you're not in that exact color.
Yeah, I don't think he's really in the market for what we call basically a spider. 3 mana, 2/3 reach.
He's hovering a glass of the Guild pack, which probably not getting much better.
No, not really up his alley. Just this year's Portal, very strange one-off in that set as a blink card. There wasn't really a supported archetype at all. But it also gives the creature first strike, so kind of an interesting card there. Not sure if it's going to make the cut, but usually when you see one blink card, you see like a supported archetype. But
so that Gatebreaker Ram was really good in this set. Of course, we're not drafting.
So it's a card that has little to no text in this set, aside from it being a 3-mana 2/2. I mean, if you get one gate, you got a 3-mana 3/3. But yeah, there are two sets of gates here.
I'm not sure if there's some technical issue here with the streamer watching.
Yeah, there might be some kind of a glitch here in the draft, which would be really unfortunate.
About 6 picks left.
It appears that packs are moving, like when we see the little graphics with the players' names. Looks like there's 7 packs stuck on Tony, so maybe he's in a bit of a... Maybe he's paused here up here.
If it was Tony's draft, it's disconnected.
Okay.
Reconnected.
Yeah. All right, so hopefully this works here. He's gone through the Justiciar's Portal, and he's trying to make his next pick on the other side of it.
I like Justiciar's Portal. Nice little flicker, you get an ETB effect and trade up in combat. It's not a great card, but it's the kind of card I like playing.
So I think he's clicking confirm pick, and it's just not working.
I don't know if he clicked the confirm pick button or he's trying to double click.
He's been trying.
We'll figure it out here.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I don't think I've quite seen this glitch before.
We don't want to see a technical... we don't want to see an error here.
I think the TO will figure out.
Because it does look like Tony's the one who's stuck here.
You didn't click that little confirm pick button, no.
Okay, he's having some connection issues, so his internet maybe is a little off here. Let's see if you can... Okay.
There you go. Click the button. It does the thing.
We're back in the groove here. All right, so bring to trial, sideboard cards. Spikewheel Acrobat, not a good card in really any respect.
If you Spectacle, you get a 3-mana 5/2. Good for stats, but it trades down for a 1-drop.
It's not good at either rate. So here's a Smeltwort Ignis. That card might be just aggressive enough that he's interested in it. Has a little weird active treason ability if you sack it.
It basically replaces itself with whatever you steal for a turn. Watchful Giant, always at the bottom of the pack. It's a 6-mana 3/6 with a 1/1 human attached.
Yeah, not a good card for the most part. There was sort of this like weird toughness matters deck in Azorius, but even then, you could do better than that guy.
Yeah, big booty deck.
Yeah, High Alert. High Alert, I think, was the uncommon that you benefited from there.
Azorius. Yeah, the Azorius color pair.
All right, so we're on to...
So Neo is our last pack.
Yeah, Neo. So the red-white like samurai attacking alone, sort of like exalted style deck really was not a great archetype. But I mean, he can still find good cards here. Kamigawa has a high power level. He starts off with a nice rare here. What a treat! Like what a good rare. Just a land. Yeah. It doesn't come into play tapped. It adds a color and has this ability where you can just instead of playing as a land, you can discard it and deal 4 damage to attacking or blocking creature.
Removal spell.
Yeah, they really turn the knobs all the way on the power level on this cycle here.
got a couple legendaries to cheapen that effect
Yeah,
too, in Feather and Taranika.
yeah,
Could matter.
yeah. You could
Uh,
even get a
I
discount.
believe I believe he would be happy to see an Ironhoof Boar wheel. It's good in an aggressive deck, and it has two different ways
Yeah,
to get
aggressive decks don't
get the
usually want
damage in.
6 drops, but if they're 6 drop that can also just cash in a bunch of damage for real cheap, being 2 mana. And Channel is basically uncounterable. Like it plays around counter spells. Not that we're gonna have decks full of counter spells here, but it works on an interesting axis. Well, here's
That's
one of the
just here.
better uncommons I think he could hope to find here.
Also, it has a channel ability, but most likely going to be used for just the removal effect.
Yeah, if it did not have that channel ability, I don't think it would change the evaluation of the card.
No, it's very strong. Uncommon removal in this set. Nothing else amazing outside of the Ironhoof Boar for what he's going for. Aki
Yeah.
Ember Keeper's just a regular kind of modified payoff.
Well, it's an enchantment for his for his Archon, but I don't imagine he would be so hard up on enchantments that he would want that
That is
in a
true.
deck that didn't otherwise want that effect.
Well, it could make the list at the end of the day. Who knows?
Yeah, when we were young, Reed's really clunky, but when you actually get to cast it, it's usually gonna really work well for you. It's just you don't want your combat tricks to be 4 mana. Yeah,
Look at
so
it. Look at it like a
he's got
lightning.
4 enchantments, 5. Yeah, he's got 5 enchantments to go with his Archon. So I think he's happy. Wow, this is just all I see are blue cards.
Blue, blue everywhere.
Moth Rider Patrol and a Voltage Surge are there. Either one will be playable, but not that exciting.
Okiba Reckoner raid in the last 2 packs. It's not like it's going to be a 40 card streamline deck, but that card always
Yeah,
could work in 40.
that'll keep a record rate. Often, like you could just get a bunch of them, and you played them all early, and just got so far ahead on life.
Looking to take
I think he's gonna
the
take the
1-drop flyer.
creature here. Yeah, well, 1 mana, 1/1 flyer, and then later it could be a tapper. Like four to tap a creature is a lot. Like usually too much, but no, Selfless Samurai is a very nice card here.
Attacks with lifelink. Is that the one? Attacks if a samurai, if it's the only creature attacking.
Yeah, so whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, it gains lifelink, but it also has the ability of you could sacrifice it to give any creature you control indestructible, not just a samurai or warrior, which is a little confusing on the card because you're just imagining, okay, the first ability cares about samurais and warriors, the second ability cares about it as well, but it actually cares about anything. Looks like he's looking at Tempered and Solitude just as a little card advantage engine potentially.
Enchantment, yeah.
It's whenever a creature you control attacks alone, you get to exile the top card of your library, and you can play it this turn. So also,
Right.
it does not require you to attack with a samurai or warrior,
I see.
which goes against sort of all the other cards in the set that look like that. They all say samurai or warrior, but that card just says any creature. So
He prefers that over our Selfless Samurai, which also the sack ability is free. You don't have to pay anything for it, so
yeah,
it's
I think
always
he
up.
just wants at least a couple ways to maybe go up on cards or just keep the cards flowing. Like
Yeah.
like red and white, the goal is to get your opponent hopefully dead before before they have a chance to overwhelm you in value and cards. Like kill your opponent when they have 4 or 5 cards in hand and can't cast them, and you have no cards. That's fine, but that doesn't happen every game. You do need at least some ways to keep the cards flowing in those games where you do end up empty-handed and your opponent is not dead yet. He's got his gold card here, but it's really not, I think, what he's after.
So no, Samurais wasn't the favorite archetype in this set, but you were talking about keeping cards flowing. Experimental Synthesizers did that somewhat. It's a fairly good card. We'll see if he wants that or
very, very interesting and neat design. Looks like he's got his eye on the Imperial Recovery unit, which we saw actually do some work in the feature match for Phyrexia All Will-Be-One League in week 1. We had a player who took some Neo packs, and that card actually did some work. That is also a form of card advantage, right? Getting back a 2 mana or less creature when that attacks, that is a form of card advantage. So looks like he wants that. Vehicles are hard to interact with. It has crew 2, which is where you want to be once you once you get into higher than 2, it start you really have to have a spectacular effect.
Not the greatest of options here. An aura, a couple auras
Yeah,
in this color pair. No,
Born,
3 auras to be
yeah,
exact.
Born to Drive gets the unofficial award of card I basically never cast, and whenever opponent cast it, it was really really good for them. Yeah. So here we see what was often a first pick in Neo Draft, the Generous Visitor,
Visitor.
just because you could
Yeah.
snowball that so hard. But Regent's Authority, it's a little trick here. This 1 mana. I mean, these tricks are better with the Feather, but he doesn't have too many other cards in his deck that really care specifically that you're casting these combat tricks. So we'll see how many of them end up in his deck at the end when we watch him in round 1.
Yeah, that's the trick with these chaos drafts. You can't just pick a card because it was highly picked in its set. We saw that with Disinformation Campaign earlier and Visitor here.
Yeah, well, this is a rare that's highly picked in nothing because it's not good.
March of Burgeoning Life.
So
Yeah.
Brute Suit, it's just like really unassuming card, but the stats are really strong on it. Like it just has it's crew 1. It's only 3 to play. It has vigilance, 4 power. Like they just really push the knobs on that one, and it's sort of like an
Vigilance.
unassuming card. It has vigilance, yeah,
Vigilance is very nice with vehicles. You get your beater in and you can leave it up to
exactly.
block.
Yeah, and it's a 4/3, and it comes down early, and it hits hard. So nice pickup for him. I think he's interested in playing it. We'll see.
Wheel the enchantment creature for your
Yeah,
Archon.
well, it has another ability. I believe when your non-token modified creatures die, you
Modified.
get a little token.
No equipments around, are there? Is there some
No, we're
counters
not.
though?
We're not quite in. We're not quite in Phyrexia with all the equipment. Yeah, none of these were really. I mean, Neo had an artifact theme, but didn't really have too many equipment. The memorable one I remember at Common was the Ninja Kunai. We
Well, there's
we see the katana
their
there, but
creature
that card
equipment.
was not really efficient.
Well, a lot of the creatures are equipment in that set though.
Yeah, reconfigure, but reconfigured actually didn't show up on like an insane amount of cards. But we're wrapping up this draft here. It looks, he settled into his deck. He in some of the packs felt like he was very rewarded, and some of the other packs just felt like there wasn't anything for him. Like that Guilds of Ravnica pack, which was supposed to be, you know, full of cards for him. Actually, it just kind of dried up, and there just wasn't a lot of white and red cards in those packs. I don't think people were slamming them or taking them away from him. But yeah, so
Started
our
better than it
draft
ended for
is
the boss.
complete. Thank you to Tony G, and we'll be seeing him in round 1. But we'll be back in a bit with the draft logs. We're going to get to see the other players' pools.